Hello, everyone. It's Tony Flath, T-Man Speaks on social media. I'm really excited today to do a talk with T-Man with all these great people in the house. And we're going to be talking about hashtag winning with AI, win with AI. So we're going to be heading to New York, and we're going to be there. An event is happening with IBM September 3rd or 12th through the 14th. You'll see the link right in the following information that we post out to the internet and across social. But I've got a number of people in the house with me today. So, Bob, I'll turn it over to you, and then you can each introduce yourself and give a little background about how you're coming in, and certainly look forward to it.
Thanks, Tony. And hello, everybody. And hello, Internet. My name is Bob Hayes. I'm interested in the intersection of customer experience, artificial intelligence, and data science. And my background is industrial psychology. So I come to this quantitative world with a major in understanding how technology impacts people and how culture can impact the success of technology in the company. And I look forward to learning what every company's doing at the IBM event in September. So I look forward to meeting you guys and learning some stuff from you guys as well.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. Awesome.
Well, hey everybody, this is Carla Gentry. I'm a data scientist and probably better well known on Twitter as Data Nerd. I'm the owner and founder of Analytical Solution, and basically my background is mathematics and economics, so that's where the nerd comes in. I was doing big data way before it was ever a buzzword, and data science is a way of life for me. So it's about educating people how to do it right, how to do it ethically, how to do it unbiased, and the same with artificial intelligence and machine learning. It's something that's been around since the 60s and the 70s. We just didn't have the big data and the computational power to be able to make it useful. Now we can. So thanks to all the companies like Google, who have actually made AI a realistic thing now. And I'm looking forward to meeting everybody at the IBM conference. As we all know, IBM's been around for many years, and for a long time, the mainframe was everything. I remember loading DLTs back in the 90s. So thank goodness we moved away from that and moved into the cloud. Woo-hoo! So I'm looking forward to meeting everybody, and we'll see you September 12th through the 14th. And don't forget to follow the hashtag and the Twitter accounts and social media for Winning with AI.
You bet, Carla. Thanks so much. And I think we all have cloud in common.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to jump in there on the cloud because my name's Kevin Jackson. I'm also known as GovCloud Network on the internet, and that's really what I do. I'm all cloud all the time, both commercial and government. But the thing that I'm really excited about Win with AI because cloud computing really is a foundational to a lot of these new capabilities. When people talk about AI as a separate thing, the thing that goes in my mind is that you can't do that without the foundation of cloud. When they talk about machine learning as a separate thing, the foundation there is cloud and the ability for cloud to bring these new capabilities, a new way of doing business through all industries is really critical. And I'm a former IBMer. I was a worldwide sales executive for IBM and doing WebSphere Every Place, mobile devices, service-oriented architecture. And at that time, they were all different things. We were trying to sell different products. But now they've all blended together into this sort of cloud global platform. And it's really exciting to see IBM at the lead showing industry verticals how to win and leverage AI for delivering unique capabilities. So I'm really excited I've been working with all you guys online for years, it seems. And now, hey, in real life, this is amazing.
Oh, yeah. So looking forward to meeting up with you and everyone else. Thanks, Kevin.
My name is Christopher Penn. I am the co-founder of Brain Trust Insights. We are a data consulting shop. And out of this event, well, for one thing, I write a lot of my own code. I write mostly in R, some in Python, although I'm terrible at Python. I've been in IT really since the mid-90s. But what's of interest to me, well, two things. I want to learn how to use Watson Studio better because I'm really bad at it. And it supposedly makes deep learning architecture easier. I don't know if that's necessarily true, or maybe it's just I didn't read the manual thoroughly enough. But more than anything, I'm looking forward to trading notes and things with everyone at the event to see, what are other folks working on? What are the things that are interesting? What's got your attention? Someone like Carla, for example, who's got a focus in economics. I've done some work with economic indicators. Would love to trade notes and compare to see what indicators do you pay attention to? Do you forecast off of them? What algorithms do you use? And I think the other part I would say to what Kevin was saying is that cloud is one part of what's in modern AI, but the other part is still good old-fashioned statistics and algorithms. There is still a tremendous amount of value. As much as we love machine learning and deep learning, there are still algorithms from the 40s and the 50s and the 60s that work on, I would say, medium data as opposed to big data that can drive tremendous value for businesses and require very little computational power now because they're really well proven. So don't forget the old stuff while we're chasing the new.
Good point, Christopher. Yeah. Thanks so much. Yeah.
Yeah. Old school is good school.
It is. I'm Mark Lind. I'm the managing partner of Relevant Track, and I'm also a practitioner, so I use Watson AI daily and write about it and talk about it and go speak about it at TechU and other IBM events. And I've been doing AI for about 20 years. In fact, I sold my first expert system company back in the early 90s. So been in AI back when it wasn't fun or famous or profitable, but now it's gained a lot of traction. So I'm especially excited to get to the event and to meet all of you, but also to hear some of the use cases, because use cases that I see when I talk to the product team at Watson are fascinating, but some of the ones that they mentioned but I don't hear about, I think have even greater things around how to use AI to further their business, to do great things, to create a better customer experience for their customers. So I'm really excited to see all that at the show on the 12th to the 14th.
Awesome. Yeah, Mark, certainly looking forward to meeting up.
Absolutely.
Great. So my name is Theo, and known as on Twitter as PSP_DC. So my background is technology, looking at technology innovation and how do we use it to improve customer experience. I'm talking about 20 years ago, before customer experience became a thing. We didn't even call customer journey all of that thing. But so my interest in AI and technology is more on the application and implementation side of it. My passion is about leveraging technology innovation to improve the well-being of older adults. And so no jokes about old people when we do meet face to face. But it's fascinating, when you guys are talking about using data and analytics and all of that. There's a side of using that to improve financial planning, to improve the lives as we are getting older. What do we do with our health? What do we do with our wealth? How do we maintain a good standard of living, and how do we sort out all of life's complications or challenges or opportunities? And that's where AI and data and machine learning can do some really fascinating things. So looking forward to meeting everyone, and looking forward to what else we can do in this field.
No, perfect. Yeah, looking forward to meeting Theo. Have I missed anyone? Have we covered everybody off? We got a great bunch online today. So I'll take that.
Yeah, I just want to say I resemble that old remark, so watch it.
Yeah, no old remarks, right? Yeah.
And we're not getting any younger.
No.
Secret.
No. And my background and how I came into all this fun stuff is I started in HR systems on the cloud years back with Ceridian, so I was an early adopter of the cloud. Certainly got into more infrastructure as a service and platform as a service apps, from a variety of different angles. did some IoT stuff, did sales in telco and in IT and in managed services. Last few years been focusing in on cybersecurity, which, Kevin Jackson as well could go volumes. A few of you could. Mark, there's a few of you on here that we could certainly have a great conversation just around AI and cybersecurity. But, I also have a big interest in, I was an HR manager. I certainly worked in HR for years as well, HR tech. My interest as well with all of it is the people side of it. Things are going to happen, and in 5 years, we don't even fully know what that technology capability is, but it needs to be very people-driven, and it's not about the robots coming after you, right? It's not about artificial intelligence taking over, and it's such a hot buzzword. I don't know about you guys, but you mentioned AI, and wow, the posts, they can fire off pretty fast and furious. So, in the last few minutes here, I'd love to get all of your guys' impact and impression on, people's perspective of AI. I think Carla says it best, that it's really enabling code and putting some machine learning to code at this point. But certainly, love to get a little more perspective on that.
Well, and I wanted to say something to Mark about, I love that he said, there's so much old code already out there that can do good. If you think about it, Dean Pomerleau and Jan LeCoux, they were doing this stuff back in the 80s and the 90s, and they actually had self-driving cars, and they built a system that could recognize handwritten digits. So these things, have just come to fruition, as we would say. And, now to Kevin's point about the cloud, now we have the ability to do this, but let's do this responsibly, and let's make sure that we're doing it, without bias and with an open mind. So there are some pitfalls, but there's a lot more good stuff to come.
Yeah, so one thing I wanted to sort of jump on that, the only value to any type of information technology is if it can be valuable in assisting our society. This is our global society. That's the strength of information technology. But the weakness is also that it's being created and managed and developed by humans. So the AI already has biases in it because it is adopting or inheriting the biases of our society. And our challenge here is to create these wonderful capabilities while minimizing the natural biases that we bring to things that we create just because we're human.
Did you see the ProPublica data set, Kevin?
So, sometimes the biases are good, but we all have to watch what we do. So I'm looking forward to the future.
It's funny. I think it's the use cases have dramatically changed. So in the 80s and 90s, the use cases were, using Prolog and Lisp and some of these older tools that weren't very rich, and you didn't really get that much capability out of it without getting deep in the code. And use cases were very drab and not very, didn't have great potential to help, society, where now the use cases and the tools are rich and they're in the cloud and the data is accessible and all the things that you really need to start to do the things like you're talking about, Kevin. And those are going to be the richest use cases. And candidly, I've seen a couple recently, one around earthquake survey data that could help the people on the West Coast, but it also had bias in it based on when the survey was taken and what city it was in, how many samples were taken, things like that. So you're so right, and it doesn't get addressed enough, right? Because it almost even has a cybersecurity scenario to it, because it can create issues from that side as well. I really think that's one thing a lot of us could do a lot better online, since we are somewhat influential and we do have good audiences that pay attention to us, is really start to focus on some of that stuff, but put it in a manner in which they'd understand it, where it was really hard to do when you had Prolog and Lisp and these very rudimentary tools and use cases, where now we have the rich ones where we can actually start to signify and point out those type of things. I think that's a great opportunity for all of us. I hope
One of the
some
greatest
of these
dangers.
cases are at the show.
I think, Mark, you're right. One of the greatest dangers about the data is, like, we have the biases that we know we can identify, like the ProPublica example where a police department attempted to predict, right, you'd be better off flipping a coin, but they predicted African Americans would reoffend 5 times more than they actually did. So that was a conscious bias that went into that data set and into that algorithm. But the greater danger, I think, is if we don't understand how the models are created, if we don't have good interpretability, you can explicitly disallow race or gender, but if you have all the secondary data, all of the secondary features, that the weak associations combined become the equivalent of race or gender or religion, you can still get systems that are going to train and build on those. So, to Carla's point, we need those ethics, we need those boundaries, and we need to continue to be the overseers applying judgment to say, you know what, I know the machine created that, but I'm telling you right now, as a human, that's wrong.
Exactly.
It is. It's not the robots right now. It's the use cases. It's the getting the information out. It's letting people know that we know there's bias in it and adjusting appropriately for it. It's doing those type of things where it's on the consciousness of the people that are using these tools and extrapolating the data. Because one of the things I see using Watson daily and talking to customers, even though I don't work for IBM, I do a lot of things with them on this, and one of the things I see is a lot of times the data, the pool is too small, and they consciously had the pool too small, or the sampling was too small, so it skews the data very, very badly. And instead of pointing it out or disclosing it like they should, they don't. And I'm not saying IBM doesn't. I'm saying the people that they're doing these for, they're like, well, we don't really have that much data. We don't know how to put the data together. And when they do, it almost always ends up being a smaller pool than what they thought they were going to have initially, which then skews the data. But they don't want to go back to their C-suite and say, you know what, we put all that money, we did all this, but we came out with skewed data. And they just say, well, you know what, we'll put it somewhere, and if it comes up, we'll talk about it. I think that's a ding for all of us in this space, and something that we got to get over as a group, as a whole.
Maybe that's a problem of them not knowing what problem they want to solve first. So when you approach a problem, like what do I want to solve, and then you say, well, do I have the data to actually solve that problem? And if you don't, maybe you should bite off a smaller piece of the AI puzzle and work with that first.
Great point, Bob. Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting statistics 101. I mean, you have to have a representative sample. You can't pull 10 people out of, okay, here's 10 people, and then say, here's my statistics. I mean, it blows my mind away, that these guys will come up with a sample set of 900 and think that it has any type of significance.
Right. Or like Chris said, they leave a particular group out of the sampling on purpose, or because they feel like the data is not complete, or the data that they pulled in might come from an Excel spreadsheet versus the database. They don't consider it and they don't reference it, and then you end up with something short, because CFOs don't just work out of databases. They work out of applications, and they work out of spreadsheets, and they do all that. When they try to combine all this information, for example, a lot of it's customer data. How much do we sell that customer? Are we going to go back and talk to them? When is the renewal? Is there an evergreen? Blah, blah, blah. And they just don't talk about it. It's not out front. Instead, everybody's focused on a little pane, a window of the results, but not the things that affected the results, or would say how the results should be interpreted.
Or even more basic than that, kind of like what Carla is saying, Stats 101. If someone can't explain the difference between a type 1 and a type 2 error, they probably shouldn't be working with data.
Here.
Yeah,
I love it. I learned so much from all of you on the data science side, and it's certainly a great message to convey, and it's certainly something for organizations to think about. When they're looking at how do they take this data and better manage it and better utilize it, and you've keyed in, like Christopher, when you say that, organizations should be able to handle and answer that, much the same as, back to Mark's point, on cybersecurity, and they do dovetail together. This is such a great conversation, guys. I'm certainly looking forward, hashtag win with AI. I think IBM Analytics is on the right path with this. I know from some of the conversations we've already started online and through vlogging and through sharing content, we're certainly seeing some good information come back and some good feedback and, different perspectives. And you understand that it is kind of similar to that whole notion of cloud where it's that uncertainty and how do you deal with that. But awareness and planning are certainly going to give you, a better stretch down the path.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, guys. Well, hey, this has been so fantastic. Let's just quickly go around and any, last thoughts you'd like to share before we close her off.
Yeah, so one thing I like to say is that we've talked a lot about bias, but let's not give bias a bad connotation. There are some good biases that we also have to look at and leverage. And when people are doing and leveraging and using AI, when you're leading those type of projects, please watch that you're not trying to lead the answer, as they would say in a court. Don't have an answer when you begin, and if data sort of doesn't align with that answer, throw it away. That's not the right way to find a quote truth. Although there's a lot of, as one famous person said, truth is not truth.
That's true. And don't just throw technology at technology. Exactly. Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing everybody at the show. This has been a very illuminating discussion, and obviously we'll have some great ones there, and get to see some great use cases. And I'm really looking forward to meet the few of you I haven't met. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep, same.
Go ahead.
Same here as well. Look forward to meeting everybody. One thing I'll echo what a lot of others have said already. Keep an open mind. You never know what you're going to find.
Yeah.
You never know who you're going to run into. So that's the beauty of technology. It's a means to an end. And the end is think about who you're going to serve and what it's being used for.
There you
go. And with all this technology, think about logic as well, because we've created these cars that will self-drive because they look at both lines on the road. But what happens when it's raining, or what happens when you're on a country road that has no lines? So we have to always consider that there are iterations or possibilities that we don't always account for. So the outliners are the things sometimes that you look at the most because they're the ones that point to something you didn't do.
Yes.
Great point. Who else? Bob. Hey, Bob, you're back online. Look at you.
I'm here. I wasn't here?
Well, you were here. Oh, now that's okay. You'll see it on the video. It's fun. Yeah.
All right. So some final thoughts. I'd like to reiterate what some of you guys said, Chris and Carla, about understanding the basics of statistics. If you don't understand that, I think it's going to be hard for you to understand how AI and machine learning works. So I always encourage, whenever I give a talk, to have people take a basic stats course. You don't have to have a PhD in statistics, but just understand the basic notion of means and variances and correlations. And if you understand that, and maybe even sampling here, if you know those basic concepts, you'll go a long way in helping your AI career.
Absolutely. And I would say the last thing to thought here would be AI and technology, all this stuff, to what a lot of folks have said on the call, this is not new. So a lot of the frameworks that we have for governance, for strategy and stuff like that, don't assume that AI is brand new territory. You can use the best practices of things like, governance of corporate IT to help structure your AI efforts and make them work well from the beginning.
Absolutely. Great point.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, Tony. I appreciate it.
Have I missed anyone? I think I covered us all off. I'll take silence as bliss. Well, hey,
Thanks
guys.
for putting this on.
All right, bye, all. This has been a lot of fun. And don't forget, #WinWithAI. We're certainly looking forward to the event in New York. And look into the posts. You'll see the link to register. Please do register if you can. or as well follow along online. You'll see across social media, Twitter, LinkedIn, even Facebook, you'll see some information being shared by all of us, as well as IBM Analytics. And thanks all of you today for being on Talk with T-Man on T-Man Speaks on YouTube. Thanks so much.